afternoon to you all. So we have Neelesh Goyal here. He's All India rank 77 in UPSC CSE 2024. So Neelesh, I would say first of all, from speaking to him and knowing about him, he's a very humble person. Came from a very humble background, but also has worked hard and smart, I would say. So that's why we think bringing him to you all to experience and understand, learning from those who have gone through the journey and who have made mistakes and learned from it is much better than actually you making those mistakes and wasting your precious time. So Neelesh has also scored the top marks in Sociology, is optional. He has been working with BHEL for 5 years and prepared while working actually. So he did that's not an easy task. So the first attempt, I'll let him speak later, but I just want to tell you why Neelesh has been brought in front of you all, first of all. So the first attempt he decided to prepare in April 2023, and May he gave the exam. First attempt he couldn't clear prelims. I wouldn't consider it as first attempt also, but he did try. And the second attempt, now he's with 77 rank with the service that he wanted, IAS. So what we want all of you to gather from this session is to understand what it takes to clear this exam, how much time you should actually use to plan, and how your mindset should be, your consistency, discipline, all that should be. I'll let Shilpa ma'am introduce Neelesh and about sociology as well. But before starting the session, I just want to tell you how the session will go on. The first part will be about GS preparation, okay, right? GS for prelims and main part, and sociology optional part will be discussed after these two are done. So at the end of the session, we'll open for questions, so you can ask any questions you have. What we want you to understand is, those of you who think if I study for 12 hours a day, only then I will crack this exam. All these myths, I want them to be busted today, okay? Because he was working and put in consistently 4 to 5 hours each day, and during weekends was writing tests. Please understand the importance of tests also, okay? It is very, very important. Mr. Neelesh will speak to you about it as well. So there is a lot to learn from him. So we hope this session will help you. And I'll let, you want to speak? Yeah.
So, okay. So Neelesh will be talking today. First of all, he is ranked 77, so you have a lot to learn from him. And practically, if you see, it's his first attempt only, right? Secondly, he was a working professional, so how to manage time while working, right? When most of you are preparing full time, right? So you have to learn from him that even if you have less time with you, when you have just started and your GS classes are also going on and you are doing your optional preparation also, optional classes are also there. So students usually have this confusion that I don't have enough time, right? So he is an example of this, that time, if utilized productively, even 4 hours are more than enough, and it can get you a double-digit rank. It can get you into IAS, right? So that is one thing you have to learn. Then he is one of the highest scorer in GS, 835. His marks are almost similar to rank 4th, right? In fact, more than rank 4. Then he is All India topper in Sociology optional, right? So even in fact, rank 4 is also Sociology topper. So first we will discuss about the GS part. Then people who are interested in knowing about the Sociology preparation, the criteria for choosing sociology, why sociology, that also he will be covering all the things. So please listen attentively. And after every part, like first he'll discuss about prelim and then mains, please feel free to ask him questions, right? Because right now, he's just cleared it. He's the best person to tell you what is working in UPSC and what is not working in UPSC, right? Okay, so I'll just pass on to Neelesh now.
First of all, I'll write down my marks in each and every stage of exam. उसके बाद we'll start. Am I audible? Yes. ठीक. So in prelims, GS I have 105, CSAT 150, GS1 how many? I think 97, GS2 113, GS3 89, GS4 131, SA 112. In Socio total 293 was there, paper 1 150, paper 2 143, CSPT 155. So my total was 990 out of 2025 and rank was 77. I am telling you these marks. I have ranked 77, 75, 76, 78. All of these have 990 marks in total. 79, 80, 81. These have 989 marks and rank 81 is not getting IAS. Up to rank 80 in general category they are getting IAS. So my point is, in this exam each and every mark matter. Not in prelims. In prelims you have just 2 cutoff clear. But in mains and in interview, each mark will matter. One single mark can get you out of IAS or IPS or whichever service you want. So you have to fight for each and every mark. That is my message. Now we'll talk about prelims. I'll tell you my strategy, what resources I followed, how I attempted the paper. Then you are free to ask any question you have. Okay. Ajay, tell me how many of you have given any pre 24 or 25? Anyone? Okay. Anyone cleared it? Abhi you are attempting for pre 26, right? Okay. Syllabus coverage कितना हो गया है? मतलब अभी you have just started है ना? ठीक है. So we'll start from the how to start. In prelims, width of knowledge matters. In prelims, you have certain subjects, for example, polity, economy, modern history. You have standard resources. If you are just starting, you can start from NCRTs. Next level is standard books. For polity, Lakshmikant is there. For modern history, Spectrum is there. So like that, you can cover standard resources. After that, what I used to do, I would pick up PYQs. I would identify which are the themes which are getting repeated in the prelims paper. I would solve those PYQs. I would identify my weak areas and strong areas, and I would work accordingly. Then I would take mock test paper of any coaching. I will solve them. I will find out what is my accuracy. Suppose I am having 80% accuracy. So if I attempt 100 questions, then 80 questions would be right. So according to that, because general category cutoff is around 100 marks. So you have to get those 100 marks. You have to correct around 65 to 70 questions. So net correct would be around 50. So on that basis, you have to identify what is my accuracy and how much questions I have to attempt. So this is about attempting questions. Also, time management is another important thing in prelims, because you have to clear that cutoff. So better to grab the low hanging fruits. For example, for me, economy I was comfortable because economy concepts are there. If I understand the concept, I can solve those questions and go ahead. Similarly, in modern history, I can remember certain dates, I can remember certain things, and I can solve the questions. So you have to identify which area you are comfortable with, and those low hanging fruits you grab and complete the paper. Okay. Sources, I think, should I tell about sources of prelims? Okay. So subject wise we'll do. For polity, as I told, I prepared this exam in 3 levels. One is very beginning. I used to do NCRTs. NCRTs not from 6th to 12th. I would suggest NCRTs of class 11th and 12th. For example, class 11th Geography NCRT. If you do that thoroughly, you do not need any other book. But for building that basic clarity, 11th and 12th NCRTs are a must. Then second level, you go to standard books. Those standard books can be for polity, it can be Lakshmikant. For physical geography, it can be G.C. Leong. For modern history, it can be Spectrum. Now for modern history, there are 2 books. One is Spectrum and one is Modern History by Bipin Chandra sir. Anyone you can choose. For me, a Spectrum book by Rajiv Bhai sir was better suited, so I chose that one. ठीक है. Which else? Economy के लिए there are 2 books. One is by Vivek Singh, one is by Ramesh Singh sir. So anyone you can choose based on your comfort. Also, there is one sir, his notes are available in market, but those are a little bulky. So if you are comfortable with that, you can also go with that. Okay, art and culture, Nitin Singhania I used to follow. But art and culture, what I used to do, the time invested to get those 2 or 3 questions correct, I did not find it much useful. So what I will do, these 4 subjects I will do thoroughly. And these 4 subjects cover almost 60 questions. You see, polity, every year 15 to 20 questions are asked. Economy, almost 20 questions are asked. Modern history, 5 to 6 questions are asked. Physical geography, another 10 questions are asked. So if you see, around 60 questions are covered there. If you get those correct, then science and tech environment, 5-10 questions you correct and you are good to go. So you have to identify the low-hanging fruits, as I told earlier, and you can do that. Remaining subjects, science and tech is there. There is no standard source for science and tech. But if you read current affairs thoroughly, it will be sufficient. Similarly, in environment, recently some unconventional questions are being asked, like which species does what, or which species found out in which environment. So those questions better to leave because there is negative penalty for every wrong question. So I used to leave those questions. Any other subject I am forgetting? Mapping ka, if you are reading newspaper thoroughly and you are marking those important places on map, then it is much easy to attempt in the exam. Any subject I am forgetting? Guys, please interact. One-sided delivery is not good. CSET I will come later. I am talking about GS. Ancient and medieval history के लिए you have the option to cover NCRTs because R.S. Sharma and Satish Chandra Bro, those are old NCRTs only. So you can either do the NCRTs or these 2 books. ठीक है. Any other subject? Current affairs के लिए I used to do the newspaper. अब you can either do the newspaper or the monthly compilation. Any option is better. For me, daily newspaper was good because monthly compilation, 30 days ka compilation you have to do in 1 day or 2 days. So that was not good for me. Whichever suits you, you can do that.
So can you segregate for each subject with questions?
You have to read syllabus and PYQ for that. For example, in economy, if you see the PYQs, you will get to know questions, what kind of questions are being asked. For example, 2 to 6% inflation rate is mandated by Monetary Policy Committee. So who is the monitoring agency of that committee? So those kind of questions when current affairs में mention होता है, so you can note down in your notes. Anything else?
Ethics.
Sorry?
Ethics.
Prelims में नहीं आता ना ethics. Mains का we will talk. अभी हम prelims का GS के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. Prelims का GS में I think all subjects we have covered है ना? ठीक है. अभी CSET के बारे में बात कर लेते हैं. उसके बाद how to give mocks, how many mocks we need to give and how to do analysis of that. ठीक है. CSET में मेरे 150 मार्क्स है तो I think I am suitable person to tell you the strategy. CSET, if I say each and everyone sitting in this room is more than eligible to clear this CSET cutoff because total 80 questions are asked. Out of that, 3 sections are there. One is reading comprehension, maths, and reasoning. out of these 80 questions, you have to mark 27 or 28 right answers. Even if you divide it by 3, more than this amount will come to all these 3 parts. So, at least reasoning ke you can do 10 correct questions, RC ke 10 correct question, math ke 10 correct question, then also cutoff will clear. But what's the reason many people fail in CSET? I'll tell you. Overconfidence that we have कि CSET तो हो ही जाएगा क्यों करना है, या अंडर कॉन्फिडेंस की CSET तो होता ही नहीं हमसे क्यों करना है. ये दोनों चीज़ अगर नहीं होंगी, हम sufficient number of practice करेंगे. If we do sufficient amount of practice, then CSET is a cakewalk, believe me. I'll give you my example. When I was preparing, I had this 12 months window. 3 months I prepared solely for pre. These 9 months were integrated preparation. Pre and mains. In 9 months, I had the routine. I had weekly target. After completing weekly target, I would give test on weekend. So in 9 months, every weekend I would give sectional test, and at month end, I would give full length test. 1 GS and 1 CSET test. In these 3 months, every Sunday, I gave 1 GS and 1 CSET. So by this method, my practice was much more than sufficient, and I was able to handle the pressure of CSET in the examination. Another important thing is question selection. You say कि in recent 23, 24, 25 exam, lot of probability and permutation combination questions are being asked. How to handle that? I'll tell you, in these 3 sections, even if you leave all the PNC and probability questions also, then also you will find at least 30 questions which you can easily attempt and get these 27, 28 correct answers. So you have to practice sufficient so that question selection also becomes easy. Another thing, as I told, accuracy is important. If you do sufficient number of mock test practice, you will get to know your accuracy level 85%, 90%. So accordingly, if you have to get 28 right, then you mark 40 questions. Marking 40 questions out of 80 is easy task. Getting 30 right out of them, getting 30 right is another important. So it will be done. I think there is no issue. ठीक है, अभी इसके भी anyone wants to know resources for CSAT also? As I did not follow any source for CSAT, but I'll tell you. ठीक है, इधर ही बता दूँगा. For reading comprehension, what ability you have to develop is comprehending ability. So you are reading newspaper for current affairs. In newspaper there is editorial section. Editorial section, if you are able to make out what the author wants to say, then your RC section will be done. So what I used to do in the beginning, I will read the editorial. I would try to summarize it in 200-250 words, and I'll compare it with the original article whether what the author wants to say I have mentioned in those 200-250 words or not. इससे मेरे 2 काम हो जाएंगे. One, I will be able to comprehend it better. Second, answer writing also will improve. I'll talk about it in mains. But suppose you have been asked a question on caste system or in general about Indus water system or any other topic. You have to write that answer in 200 or 250 words. If you are not able to convey your thoughts in those many words, in that many space, so it is of no use. You will not get marks. So doing editorial ka analysis in 200-250 words help in both CSET and mains answer writing. For maths and reasoning, what I will suggest, earlier people used to do, I'm forgetting that name, Arun Sharma book or, ठीक है, हाँ, that book, R.D. Sharma is for, which one? R.S. Agarwal, हाँ, that book people used to follow. But nowadays, so many coachings provide free 5 or 10 questions daily for CSET. So you can follow that for maths and reasoning. I think that will be done. Or apart from that also, if you follow that weekly test or monthly test for 12 months, I think if people are giving pre-26 attempt, you have around 10 months left. So if you follow this weekly routine or monthly routine, then also it should be sufficient. You don't need any other resources. Just write the test, do the analysis, whatever concept you are not. Suppose time and distance ka question is there. You have given the test and you do not know how to do the question. But in solution, if you see it, distance equals to, what is the formula? Speed equals to distance upon time. So if you solve that question and see the answer, then you will get to know the concept. And over the time, when 1 or 2 or 3 months later, you see, you will have understand most of the concept. So it will help in CSET. I think that's more than sufficient for CSE. Because out of 200, you have to get only 66 marks. See how easy this is. Only sufficient number of practice tests are required. Okay, CSAT पे any other doubt? So now we'll move to mocks. Abhi people ask me ki how many mocks we should give. Should it be 100 or 150 or like this? Number of mocks is not important. Your comfort level is important. There must be 3-4 targets. One is knowledge. Another is accuracy. Third is time management. Knowledge is so that because you have certain standard resources. For newspaper, current affairs, you have newspaper and monthly compilation. But some things will always be there that are not covered in these sources. So mock test का जो answer key है, that will cover those sources. And in your notes, you will incorporate those value addition. That's why your knowledge base will be strengthened. In accuracy part, you will get to know I have to attempt 80, 90 or 95 questions. Because in the main examination, if you do not know how many questions you are going to attempt, then you will never going to clear cutoff. Because 50% cutoff is there. And rather than attempting 95 questions, you attempt 75 questions only. Then you are leaving so many marks. So accuracy level also you get to know from these mocks. Third, time management. What I used to do, suppose 100 questions are there. I would divide it in 3 iterations. In first iteration, I will do those questions which I know for 100% surety. Ki this question is right. I have read this and I know the answer. In second attempt, I'll take those questions that I am 50% sure about. And remaining 45 to 50 questions I'll take in third iteration. So 35 questions, matlab 70 marks are secure. Now I have to secure another 30 marks. So out of these 25 questions, even if I take the chances, 50-50 elimination technique or other educated guess, I'll get at least 15 to 20 marks. And in those 50 marks, if I get 10 marks, then my job is done. So that's how prelims cutoff is cleared. If you have not done sufficient practice, then you will not be able to manage time and you will not be able to clear the cutoff. So that's why mock tests are important. Mock tests you don't have to take as UPSC tests, because in mocks you may get 150 marks, but in UPSC may not be able to clear the cutoff. So mocks you have to deal it just like mocks only, because the person who has made mocks is not the UPSC person. He is not having the mindset of UPSC. He has read certain resource. On the basis of that resource, he has made the question. Maybe the language of question, maybe the intent of question is different from that of UPSC. So you just take it as a mock. Either you are able to increase knowledge or your accuracy or your time management is getting better. You focus on these 3 things only. Also, if you are not doing these 3 parts, if you are not improving your time management or anything, then giving even 100 marks is useless. Because suppose I am doing certain exercise and if there is no improvement after that exercise, you all will agree that is a waste. Similar is the mock. If after giving a mock you are not doing sufficient analysis, what was my leg? Suppose I have given a mock and I have got sectional also analysis will be there. Suppose in history out of 20 marks I have got only 2 marks. So I should analyze whether it was lack of knowledge or lack of revision or I could not manage the time properly. So after every mock you have to do this analysis. That after this only you will be able to perform better in prelims. So this is my take on mocks. Any question on mocks? Okay. Then what are the mistakes people commit in pre? Have you seen UPSC syllabus? So for pre, they have given syllabus in 7-8 lines. So how to prepare for that? So what people do, they will pick 4 subjects for one book, 4 books for one subject, and like that, total 30-32 books they will pick, and they will try to read each and every book. It will take 3 years for completing the syllabus. They will not write the attempts, and last May they will say ki UPSC ask everything under the sun. So what I will tell you, you pick one subject, one standard resource, you do multiple revision, take the guidance from PYQ or mock test or any other mentor or teacher you are having, and work in a smart direction. Do not work hard, because working hard may 100 is the cutoff. Working hard may reach you up to 70 marks, but from 70 to 100, only smart work can take you. That's why limited resources are important. Writing as many as mocks does not mean 100 or 150 mocks. Mocks, you can analyze and get better with each mocks. After a certain number of mocks, you will get a confidence that yes, I can appear in the exam now and I can do it. So that's my take on mocks. Another is overconfidence in CSAT. Please do not have it. Practice sufficiently for CSAT, because if you do not clear the cutoff in CSAT, there is no use. You will not get to write mains. However good you may be in the mains, but if you do not get to write it, what is the use? Okay. In paper solving, another thing I'll tell you. With sufficient practice, you will get to know certain elimination techniques. For example, in a question, if certain harsh words are used, for example, this happens always, or this is the only thing that is happening. So those questions you can easily eliminate, because UPSC does not consider them right. Even if UPSC gives them as right, people will put representations, because somewhere or other exception will be there. So those questions always are wrong. Similarly, if especially in science and tech question, the options are given, some bacteria can do this, some fruits can do this. So some question, generally wala statement, those statements are generally right. So what I'm trying to say, ki these tricks you will get if you attempt sufficient number of mocks and analyze them properly. So I think this should help in prelims. ठीक है, तो from my side prelims का हो गया है. If you have any question, you can ask. Any question? GS, CSET, anything? नहीं है? Should we move to mains? ठीक. ठीक है, मेंस का यूपीएससी 2024 का पेपर किस किसने देखा है? पेपर तो यू शुड हैव सीन ना वंस. अच्छा, हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू आर थिंकिंग कि प्री एंड मेंस का प्रिपरेशन सेपरेटली करते हैं? वी डू द प्रिपरेशन सेपरेटली फॉर प्री एंड मेंस. everyone is doing it integrately. ठीक है, तो I also used to do it like that. What I used to do, suppose a topic is there, for example delimitation issue is going on. So how I will prepare this delimitation topic? In prelims, what they will ask from delimitation? In what article delimitation is mentioned? Can anyone tell me? 82. Is delimitation commission mentioned in the constitution? How many times delimitation has happened? That was a question in 2024. Everyone knows it, but Article 82 only one person knew. So my thing is, if anything is going on in current affairs, you should know. From prelims point of view, they will ask any data or fact, any committee recommendation, or anything in current context that is going on. But in mains, what they will ask, what is the concern regarding delimitation in southern states and how we can address it. So for that we have to give the arguments. These are the merits, these are the demerits, and how we should go about it. What is value addition in it? If you write any committee's recommendation, for example, this 22nd parliamentary committee has recommended that delimitation should be done in this way. So this is value addition. This fetches you 1.5 extra marks in the question, and that's how you go ahead of your competition. So what I used to do, I'll make a A4 pages note for each and every topic. In syllabus, whatever topics are mentioned, because if you have seen the main syllabus, it is quite detailed syllabus. On every keyword, you can make certain notes. And apart from these syllabus, if any micro theme is not mentioned, you can go to PYQs. In PYQs, you can choose the micro theme and you can make the notes on it. Up, when you are making notes, what I used to do, 75% of the paper I'll write the matter, 25% I'll leave empty. From newspaper or from mocks, means maybe whatever mocks I am writing, So from that marks, I'll do the value addition here. So at last, you will have such a, sufficient notes that you can get very good marks from it if you revise it correctly. Like that, in GS 1, 2, 3, you can prepare your notes and you can do the complete mains preparation from these. What is the difference between writing answers for GS 1, 2 and 3? You see, I hope you have clarity regarding syllabus, what all subjects are covered in GS 1, GS 2, GS 3. So in GS 1, majorly they ask about history, geography. है So in GS 1, role of static portion is much more compared to paper GS 2 and GS 3. So how you can add value in GS 1? For example, in geography question, you can add the map of India, of state or of world. So practice plays an important role here. Abhi, if you are making the map of India and you are making it within 5 to 10 seconds, then it is much better. Like if you are making this map in 1 minute, then it is of no use, because for 10 marker you get 7 minutes, for 15 marker you get 11 minutes. And if out of 7 minutes you are spending 1 minute for making this map only, then how you will be able to complete the paper? One thing I will say, in GS papers, 20 questions are asked for 250 marks. And in GS 1, 2, 3, GS 1 and 3 especially, 100 marks are considered very good marks. So you see, only 40% is, if you are leaving out of these 250 marks, if you are leaving 50 marks, then you are already 20 marks ahead of behind of your competition. Then how will you be covered? Beginning mein I told you every marks matter. So you should try to complete the paper, because any day 20 average answers are much better than 15 best answers. I'll tell you, in an average question, out of 10 marks, how much mark he will award you? 5 or 6 marks. If you write extraordinary answer, he will give you 7.5, 8 marks. So for that 2 mark difference, you are leaving 5.5 marks. That is not a wise thing to do. So I'll suggest you write all the 20 questions for 250 markers. You will say ki, if any question is there, I do not have any idea how to write that answer. For that, mock test helps. In each mock you will see, there will be 1 or 2 bouncer questions. You will have no idea. So you will get certain fodder points which you can use in such questions. For example, I'll tell you, this year in GS1, there was one question of twisters. I did not have any idea about it. Other question was demographic winter. What I did in twisters question, since it is a technical question of geography, I did not have any idea, I left it blank. But in demographic winter, if you read it carefully, demographic and winter, you will get to know that TFR is declining, so it has got to do something with it. So you will use those fodder material that you have collected from your mains answer writing in this question, and you will complete the 15 marker question. And even if you have written average answer, out of 15 he will award you 8 marks at least. So that is a win-win situation for us, right? ठीक है. Time management, I told you, 10 markers 7 minutes, 15 marker 11 minutes. What I used to do micromanagement. For example, there are 2 ways to go about it. You track each and every question. Question 1, question 2, question 3. I have written it in 7.5 minutes, this 7 minutes, this 6.5 minutes. So like that you can track, or you can track it 30 minutes mein. I have to write 4 questions, or 1 hour mein I have to write 9 questions. Like that you can track. I used to do individual question ka tracking, because if half a minute also I have taken in extra, I can compensate it next question. But agar har question mein I have taken half a minute extra, last mein I will leave 3 questions. 3 questions means 45 marks. How I am going to cover it? So micromanagement helped me to make sure that I complete the paper, I complete it on the time. Okay, we have 2 constraints in the main examination. One is constraint of space, another is time. You have to fill the space, whatever number of pages is given. In mains, 10 marker you get 2 pages, 15 marker you get 3 pages. So 10 marker 10 question 20 pages, 15 marker 10 question 30 pages. You have to fill 50 pages in 3 hours. if you do not practice sufficient answer writing, how you are going to fill that? So it is not that we have to fill pages only. We have to write quality content that examiner also gives us mark. What is quality content? If the question is asked, suppose demographic winter question is asked, what is demographic winter and why it is a cause of concern? So it is a 15 marker. 3 pages are given for it. First page, you will explain what is demographic winter. Second place, what you can explain, how it is a cause of concern, because those 2 parts are asked explicitly. In third page, you can write what are the steps governments are taking. For example, in South Korea, in Russia, they are doing so many steps to improve the TFR. In India also, we are taking certain steps to improve fertility and overall TFR of our country. So, I mean to say, space management and time management, if you do properly, your mains is good. Your copy should look good, you should write all the answers, and you should write relevant answers. Because if examiner is thinking you have just filled the pages, you do not know the demand of question, he is not going to award you marks. This is the thing in mains. Okay. Achha, do I need also to discuss introduction, body, conclusion part, how to write, how to? Okay. Suppose 10 mark question is there. So, standard format is introduction, body, conclusion. First paragraph will be your introduction, last paragraph will be your conclusion, and in this area you will write your body part. Abhi, if in the question there are 2 separate parts, for example, what is demographic winter and how it is a cause of concern, then you can make 2 separate headings, demographic winter, usko explain karke, then how it is a cause of concern. Okay? If question is simply what is demographic winter, so you can bring out multiple dimensions from it. If you are having sufficient material to write in point format, write in it. Otherwise, there is a pastel approach. Generally, it is used in essay because in essay we have to write 12 pages on a particular topic. But in a question, if it is not segregated into different parts and you have to write 2 or 3 pages into it, then you can use political, economic, scientific, technical, all these dimensions you can take and you can write your answers. Now, how length of introduction and conclusion? Length of introduction should not be more than 3 to 4 lines, and it should not also be less than 3 or 4 lines, because if you are writing just 2 lines of introduction, it does not look good. Examiner will think you have just done the formality and you do not know the actual definition or context, whatever you are writing. This reminds me, introduction, how to do? There are 2-3 methods. One is definition, one is context, and one is data. ठीक है, सपोज डेमोग्राफिक विंटर का एक क्वेश्चन ले लेते हैं, तो वी कैन स्टार्ट विद कॉन्टेक्स्ट. Recently, there is a concern among various South Asian countries that TFR is declining, so they face the danger of demographic winter. Or we can give the data that in recent National Family Health Survey, TFR has gone below the replacement level of 2.1. Or we can simply define it that demographic winter is when a population decline happens, so that replacement of this population does not happen, because it will affect the productivity and overall economic growth of the country. So in any way you can write the introduction. Some people, what they do, they will make some ready-made conclusions and introduction. This is our notes. So on each topic they will make some introduction, so whatever question is there they will write it. For sociology, I found it useful. I'll talk about it in detail, because in sociology there are certain themes on which repeated questions are asked. But in GS, generally this backfires, because question may be something different than what we are writing. Because just because demographic winter word is mentioned, you are writing this introduction that you have already prepared. It does not help it. It looks like you have marked something and you have reproduced it. It is not the demand of question. So I suggest you prepare some data, and if it is useful, you use it there. If it is a very standard term, then you can use the definition also. But starting with data, especially in GS2 and GS3, it helps. Additionally, in GS2, what you can do, you can start with certain cases. For example, there was a question on constitutional morality. What is constitutional morality? So you can give the example of Keshwanand Bharati judgment. Or you can give the example of NJAC, why it was struck down. With reference to those cases, you can start the question. Similarly, in GS3, in economy or agriculture question, You can always quote economic survey. Economic survey has stated that this year growth rate of agriculture is estimated to be 4 to 5%. So like that you can take the help of data to start your answers. Abhi, we were talking about enrichment in GS1. I told you can use maps or flowchart or diagram. In GS2, it is always a good idea because GS2 syllabus is polity, IR, governance. So in IR questions you can use map, but in polity and GS questions, always use article. In article this of constitution, this thing is mentioned. Or use cases of Supreme Court, High Court. In this case, Supreme Court said this. So these things help in fetching extra marks. In GS3, making graphs. For example, a question is on GDP growth rate. So you can give data of 23 and 24. Or you can quote budget and economic survey. Or you can make, for example, there is a question on poverty. So you can make vicious cycle of poverty. So these are some of the diagrams that are useful. Suppose there is a poverty, then there will be hunger, then nutrition value will decline, productivity will be affected, income will come down further, and it will lead to vicious cycle of poverty. So like that you can, if you are able to represent something in a pictorial diagram, it gives a message to examiner that you have the conceptual clarity. And if he thinks that you have conceptual clarity, he will reward you marks, no doubt about that. So these things you can keep in mind. Another important thing is, whatever you write, everything is secondary. Your copy should look good. If your presentation is, I'm not saying content is not important, but if your presentation is not good, whatever good content you write, he will not award you good marks. If your presentation is good, on top of that, if your content is also good, then you are sure to get 800 plus in mains. That is my experience. ठीक है, GS मेंस में GS के बारे में, एथिक्स का ऑल्सो वी कैन टॉक है ना. ठीक है, एथिक्स का पेपर हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव सीन? एथिक्स में 2 sections आ गया, सेक्शन A, सेक्शन B. सेक्शन A में theoretical questions are asked. सेक्शन B में case studies are asked. 6 case study of 20 marks, and these are for 130 marks. 6 questions are there, so 5 questions have 2 parts and 1 question has 3 parts. 1 question is code type question. ठीक है, तो I'll start from theoretical questions. In theoretical questions, if you have seen the ethics syllabus, in ethics syllabus certain keywords are mentioned. Ethical values, ethics in administration, ethics in public life. So on those topics, taking the help of PYQ, if you make sufficient detailed notes, I used to do this. For example, this is integrity, this is commitment, this is probity in public life. So I will make 1 page note for everything. In this note, what I will write, one is definition I will write, one is example of recent civil servants that have achieved these qualities. Another is case uses, because these theoretical knowledge you are going to write in these case studies. So if you do the hard work of inculcating all these 3 things in your notes for each and every keyword, then you have done the half the work, 50% of your work is done. Similarly, in quotes wala question, it is like mini essay. You are getting 2 pages, 10 marker ka this quote wala question is asked, you are getting 2 pages. You have to introduce. You may not know who has said the quotes. Recent years mein they are giving who has said this quote, but you may not know. But you have to interpret what the quote want to say. You have to introduce it. You have to give some argument in favor. You have to give some argument against it, and you have to conclude it. That's how quote questions are handled. Again, in quote wala questions, this theoretical knowledge can be applied. In case study questions, for 10 markers you are getting 2 pages. For these 20 markers you will be getting 4 pages. All 4 pages you have to fill. But what they do, sometimes they give 4 questions in case study, sometimes they give 2 questions in a case study. So you have to allocate the space accordingly. कि all the 4 pages are covered, each and every part is getting sufficiently addressed. Because examiner will not give you marks कि you have filled 4 pages, I'll award you 12 out of 20. He will give you marks based on each and every question you have addressed or not. So if you have addressed all the 4 parts in detail, then he will give you marks. What things you have to keep in mind while attempting these case studies? One, you have to keep in mind that your approach should be ethical. Whatever dilemma you must be facing, however tough the situation can be, but your action should not be unethical. Second, your solution should be practical. What I used to do, I am a native of Rajasthan. So in Rajasthan, there is one local patrika, local newspaper. So in that local newspaper, news will come that on this particular day, people have gone to SDM to give complaint about waterlogging. So if you track that newspaper over the 2-3 days, the whole issue will be covered. Ki how SDM treated those people who gave to give the complaint, who went to give the complaint, how he made the officers accountable. You have to address this complaint, and then how the problem was solved. So if you cover that whole cycle, you will get to know how administration works and how you can use the same approach in writing these case studies. So I used to follow these things for certain days, and once I got the hang of it, I wrote these answers. Another thing you can do if you do not have that much time, you can write toppers copies. You can read them. So many copies are available. So you have to see these 2-3 things: how to be ethical in your answers, how to be practical in your answers, and third thing, how to be law abiding. Because you being the administrator, you cannot go on strike. If you find something wrong, you have to take an action, however strict that may be. So you have to keep these 3 things in mind, and you have to write answers. If I have to tell you in short how you can get good marks in GS, पहला, complete your paper. दूसरा, write to the point, relevant answer. And third, your copy should look good. Neat and clean copy. Apart from that, if you have written like this, you are getting 800 marks. That is for sure. Apart from that, if you have done some value addition from newspaper or your mock test, then your 850 to 880 marks are for certain. And if you are getting 850, 880 marks, double-digit rank is for sure. So that is my experience of mains. ठीक है, any questions you want to ask?
Yes.
देखो, ऐसे में 2-3 things you have to keep in mind. One is you have to comprehend the topic correctly. If you do not comprehend it correctly, however 12 pages you can fill, but you will not get the marks. Second, you have to maintain the flow. You may not write very good flowery language, but if you are maintaining the flow, so that examiner understands what you want to say, you will get good marks. ठीक है? First thing is comprehension. Second thing is maintaining the flow. And third thing, what people mistake they generally do, they are choosing one topic and they are giving example. They are not giving arguments. So if you give arguments plus examples, it will fetch you marks. For example, in this year's question was happiness is, I'm not remembering the exact topic, but the thing was happiness is not the destination, it is the journey. That was kind of a topic. So you have to give the argument why it is not the destination, why it is the journey. For example, we are preparing for becoming IAS. Now after becoming IAS, we will not get the happiness. But in each day, what we are studying, we are becoming better person or not, we are getting more knowledge or not, we are treating others with compassion or not. These things make us better human. That's why we become happy. So like that, you have to give arguments along with example. That will fetch you marks. Of course, it is, अगर copy neat and clean होगी, then you will get better marks any day. ठीक है? Any question? तो
How do you limit your preparation with respect to syllabus completion and not
नहीं, first I'll tell you generally. Syllabus completion, if you do not have clear idea कि for this subject I have to read this resource, I have to give this many marks, you'll never able to think कि मेरा syllabus हो गया है. So you have to limit your resources. Then you will think कि हाँ अभी syllabus is complete. And whether going for mock test is required or not, if you have syllabus complete the syllabus even once, you go for mock test, you'll get idea कि what is the level of my preparation. Then you can go for next step. Abhi talking about each subject, for example in GS1, if I talk about modern history, if you have read spectrum once, मतलब not even cover to cover, even modern history portion you have completed, then you should go for, suppose we are talking about prelims, then you should go for sectional test of modern history. If you have completed GC Leong in physical geography, then you should go for sectional test of that. If you have completed whole syllabus का whole subjects, तो you should go for full length test. That will help you. मेंस के लिए देखो, मेंस के लिए नो सेपरेट रिसोर्सेज आर देयर, ओनली दो सोर्सेज, दो नोट्स यू हैव मेड ड्यूरिंग अप टू डिसम्बर यू हैव मेड. आफ्टर दैट फ्रॉम न्यूज़पेपर्स और फ्रॉम मॉक्स आंसर you have to do the value addition. Once you have done that, you are good to go for mock test. And giving mock test, you will get the confidence that I am ready to write final exam or not. There will always be doubt because the nature of this exam is such that whether you have prepared for 2 years or 20 years, you will always think कि अभी something is left to cover. But you have to write answers. Once you write answer, if I am talking about means, once you start writing answers, you will get to know where I am lacking. Whether this is lack of knowledge or lack of revision or lack of presentation. So in next test you will improve. Like that you will be ready for the final exam. I made my notes. I made both notes. I forgot to tell these things. One is primary notes. I made for each topic. In that I used to do value addition. Before exam, I will make some micro notes. In micro notes, I will do certain important things, certain definitions, certain reports, certain things that I can directly use in my answer. So just 1 day before or 1 hour before the exam, I can revise it. It will be hardly 4 to 5 pages for GS1. Similarly for GS2, 3, 4 for sociology also. So these I will, मतलब एक तरह से मग कर लूँगा इनको मैं, and I will use them in the final paper. Any? I use newspaper only, no other source. Because international relation में in prelims for mapping questions newspaper is sufficient, for organization relation questions newspaper is sufficient. If you are not able to read newspaper, magazines are sufficient. Even coachings are providing separate compilation for international affairs for different subjects, so that is sufficient. In I may not be able to recommend because I have not read one. For mains you get only 4 questions in international relation, 2 10 marker, 2 15 marker. So in that you are able to identify. For example, right now so many conflicts are going on. So you can expect one question on Middle East, ki what is happening, what is the situation, be it historical or this. You can expect one question on SCO because recently we have not signed it. So like that, relating current affairs and PYQs, you can more or less you can guess what is going to be asked, especially in IR. ठीक है, anything else? एथिक्स का 2-3 सोर्सेज आते हैं. वन इज लेक्सिकॉन का बुक आता है एथिक्स का, LEXICON, लेक्सिकॉन का बुक इज है. वन मुदित जैन सर का एक बुक आता है, दैट इज ऑल्सो क्वाइट फेमस. सो यू कैन चूज एनी वन ऑफ देम. बट वॉट आई विल सजेस्ट, इंस्टेड ऑफ गोइंग फॉर दीज बुक्स, यू सर्च फॉर टॉपर्स कॉपीज. यू टेक सर्टेन थिंग्स. फॉर श्रुति शर्मा मैम की कॉपी है, उनको आप देख लो. From that you take out certain definitions, certain examples and made your own notes. So that will help you more. Anything else? So should we move to sociology? Should we move? How many of you have chosen your optional? How many of you are opting sociology? Sociology वाले हैं सारे. ठीक है, तो first of all why we are talking about optional, why it is so important? Because मैं आपको अगर ये दिखाऊं तो you see In GS, average marks is 100 out of 250. But here 150 is the average out of 250. Here 40% is the normal. Here 60% is the normal. चलो ठीक है. 60% is the highest mark, but 250 out of 500 in sociology is average mark. So you see, 50 marks advantage is already there. In GS, 40%, in optional, 50%. So you can see the difference in yield of GS paper and optional paper. Similarly, in ethics, yield is high. Similarly, in essay paper, yield is high. Okay, in essay recent year they have started scaling down the marks, but still you can trust ethics paper and optional paper. If you put sufficient number of hours in these two subjects, you can definitely increase your chances of success. Okay, should I tell about how to choose the optional? Okay. For me, there were 3 criteria. First was interest. Second was syllabus. And third was score. You have to spend next 12 or 24 months with your optional, depending on you get selection in 1 year or 2 years. So if you do not have interest in this optional, you may not be able to continue this long journey. Second, syllabus. For me, the requirement was syllabus should be short, because I had this 12-month cycle from May to April. Okay. From May to December. Ideal preparation, what looks like from May to December, your one iteration of complete syllabus should be completed, including GS and optional. From December to April, you should be completed dedicated for pre. From April, or let's say May, from May to August. Last year it was September, but this year onwards they have reduced it to August. Around 90 days are there. So at that time, you completely have to be devoted to mains. But here answer writing practice you should do. So you see, if you wait from pre to mains, only 90 days you have to complete the syllabus, you have to do the answer writing, it will not be possible. It will be possible only when you have completed the syllabus once before pre and you do the answer writing and any improvement which is required during these 3 months. So what I did, I saw the syllabus because I have the background in mechanical engineering. I am passed out of 2018, but I started preparation in 2023. I saw the syllabus. Mechanical engineering syllabus, if you see in the PDF, it is 4 or 5 pages. Sociology syllabus is hardly 2.5 pages. So it was a comforting factor that it has such a little syllabus. So I narrowed down to sociology and anthropology. But in anthropology, I did not like it for some factors. One, it has touch of biology, which I am not comfortable with. Second, it talks about primitive societies, while sociology talks about current society, what are the problems in current society. So it is more relatable for me. That's why I chose this. Second and last this criteria was score, whether the optional is scoring in last 10 years. When I checked, sociology was performing decently in last 10 years. I have met no one who has said that I was not selected because of this sociology optional. Sociology optional may, if you, sociology optional में 3 stages are there, I'll tell you. 200 marks, 250 marks, 300 marks. If you just fill the pages, if you just fill all the pages, you are going to get 200 marks. If you write what is the demand of the question, if you write what is relevant to the question, you will get 250 marks. And if you do value addition to this relevant questions from current affairs, from newspaper or from your mock answers keys, you are going to get 300. Of course, there is some luck factor involved, but if you work hard along this path, I'm sure you will get good marks. So I was sure that sociology is scoring, its syllabus is less, I can complete it within this 12-month cycle along with GS, and it was interesting for me. That's why I chose this option. Okay, so your interest may be, abhi half of the class raised and in sociology only, half of the class may be considering another optional. So my thing will be, you may be interested in any other optional, your background may be different, you may be comfortable in the subject you have done graduation in. So it is not bad that you have chosen any other option, but the thing is you should be comfortable in the subject you have chosen. syllabus can be long or can be short, because you may have 24 months, you may have 36 months. But if you are having short time, I will suggest take an optional which has less syllabus. And scoring, almost all the optionals are scoring. There is no optional that has not produced ranks. But if I had to choose, sociology was the choice for me. That's what I would say. ठीक है, choice of optional से कोई question? ठीक है, फिर we'll go to how to start with this optional. Now that we have first, I'll talk about which sources I used, then I'll tell you what resources you can use. For paper 1, for paper 2. For paper 1, I chose the book of Harlambos and Holborn. It's a blue book, it's a thick book, but I did not read it cover to cover. I used selective reading. Previous year toppers who had recommended these topics you have to read. From those topics I made my detailed notes. In sociology also you are given certain keywords. On those keywords you can make your detailed notes. In those notes, again like GS, I did my value addition and made my macro notes for final revision. For paper 2, there is a 2020 batch topper, Neha Bhosle ma'am. She also had sociology optional, so her notes are available on internet. I took her notes. I did my value addition from current, from other sources, and I use those notes to the end. Which sources you can use along with Harlambos? For paper 1 and paper 2, IGNOU material is there. You can use that, but again that is a very bulky notes, IGNOU BA and MA material. So you have to read that selectively. Better if you can take any guidance for sociology. That will be a wiser choice in my opinion. Other books are for paper 1. Ritzer is there, Giddens is there. Generally, it is considered that for thinkers, Ritzer is a very good book, but it demands time. If you have time, you can go for these books, or you can go for notes are available in the market, or whatever coaching you are following, you can follow that. In paper 2, generally people follow B.K. Nagla sir's book, Yogendra Singh's book. But these books are again bulky and requires a lot of understanding to read them. So better if you are just starting your sociology optional, then you can go with IGNOU material or Harlambos. You build understanding, then you can take up your coaching notes or topper notes in market and you build up on that. Apart from these resources, I will suggest you take toppers copies. Rather than looking for content in these copies, what you should do, you should look the way they have presented their answers. I will again say, you may write very good content, but if your presentation is not good, you are not going to get good marks. First and foremost, you should work on content, and your presentation also should be such that examiner gets what you are trying to say. Not that you have written 250 words, but examiner is not able to figure out where you have written the answer. Or there is these 2 pages. For 10 markers I am talking. This is a question. Here you have started answer. And what the crux of the question is, you are answering it here or here. If examiner is not getting the crux of the answer in first 2-3 lines, then you will not get good marks. My point is, examiner's life should be made easy. You should not let him wait. I'll come to this and then I'll get the answer. Whatever value addition you are doing, it should be clearly visible. It should not be such that it looks completely hodgepodge. So those things you have to keep in mind. There is a saying, if content is the king, then presentation is the queen. So you have to keep this thing in mind. If queen is not there in the game of chess, then there is no use. Anytime you will get defeated. So presentation is so important that it can get you selected or it can get you out of the list. You should keep that in mind. Okay, people ask, should I do NCRTs or not? I'll suggest 11th and 12th class NCRTs are there. What you can do, you can start reading any book which you have selected, be it Harlambos or IGNOU. Again, you should not read both the books because then you will never be able to complete the syllabus. Select any one book, start reading it. If you do not understand, then go to NCRTs. These are not for building content, these are just for building the understanding about sociology. What sociology is? It is study of society. But in books, certain complex words are used so that we get demotivated. We are not able to understand the thing and we leave it. For that, you can go to these NCRTs, build understanding, come back to these standard books and do the preparation. Okay. Then notes making I have already told in GS. Similarly, I'll tell in sociology also. Pick up a keyword from PYQ or from syllabus, make detailed notes of it. For a paper, use 75% of the paper for writing content, leave 25% blank for value addition. Value addition can be done at any stage. For example, this is July and your prelims is in May and your mains is next August. So from July to August, at any time you can do any value addition these notes. The more active you will be in value addition, the more marks you will get, because see from the examiner's point of view, you are checking someone's copy and he has written examples from 2 years back. What you will think? This guy is not reading. He has written what is written in notes. So you will not give him good marks because your perception of that person will be he is not hardworking person. So be updated in terms of value addition. It can be from the current affairs or it can be from the magazine that ma'am provides. So you have to be active. That's my thing. Even after class ends, even after no support from coaching is there, you have to work hard on your own. You have to do the answer writing. Okay. Micro notes I have told you, just for reference, just before the examination I used to make them. In sociology, what I will do, I will thinker's name I will put, certain keywords I will put. Keywords like if you read sociology, you will get to know Sanskritization, dominant caste, alienation. So these kind of keywords you will get to know and you can use them in many questions. Definitions I will use. Definitions why I will write, because in sociology the safest introduction is definition. In GS I will not say safest introduction is definition, because in GS you have to write context specific introduction. But in sociology, if theoretical questions are asked, you can directly write definition and you can be sure that it is a good introduction. So I used to write these things and I will make 4-5 pages for paper 1 and paper 2 and I'll just mug them up and I'll reproduce those things in paper. So it helps. Okay. How to do current affairs edition? So there are 2-3 things. In newspapers, I told you, in editorial section, every other day, what be is the caste census issue. On caste census, Yogendra Yadav, he has written so many articles with so many arguments why it should happen. On the next day, the article will come why it should not happen. So you will get the arguments from both sides. You can jot down them in your notes. Similarly, Suraj Ingde on caste issues, Christopher Jefferlot on political issues, Ashutosh Varshney on Indian society. So many thinkers are there. In paper 1, you have certain 6 thinkers: Marx, Weber, Durkheim, Parsons, Merton, Mead. Apart from that, if you quote these thinkers in paper 1 or paper 2, see how many people will be able to do it. 14,000 people write mains. Out of that, how many people will be there in sociology? Say 2,000 people. Out of those 2,000 people, hardly 200 will do the hard work of writing these things. So you will already be ahead of the competition. So newspaper and current affairs help one way in this. Second, whatever surveys are happening, for example, NFHS, National Family Health Survey is happening. Or recently, what happened? This census will happen. Or economic survey came. So all these data you can write in your answers, especially in paper 2. In paper 1, questions will be more theoretical in nature. For example, what is the alienation concept given by Marx, or what did the Weber told about stratification of society. But in paper 2, questions will be asked like what is the changes in caste system of India, or why caste system is still relevant in Indian society. So for that type of questions, you can quote data from these surveys and it will add value to your answers. That's how current affairs should be used, and best way to integrate current affairs in your preparation. notes में 25% space that you have left, put these things in here so that whenever you are doing revision, these things will also come and you will be able to remember. ठीक है? Another thing is, while writing an answer, if you are giving examples, for what I used to do, for every argument I am writing in any question, I used to substantiate it with example. Suppose any question on caste is there, so I'll write an argument and I'll give an example. Recently in this survey this was found. So what this tells is this person not only has the theoretical understanding, but he also has the ability to apply it. It will give an impression to the examiner that he is the suitable candidate who has understood sociology and applied it to right answers. So it will fetch you good marks. For example, if I tell you, recently in Mahakumbh Mela, 65 crores people reached. So we can use that as an example of revival of religion. Since you have just started sociology, you may not know, but revival of religion is a recurrent theme which is asked in questions. So Kumbh Mela you can cite in revival of religion, or in recent US election we saw the Musk-Trump nexus that we can use in the elite rule. Elite rule is important thing that is also repeated in sociology in paper 1. It is there. So I want to say, if you integrate your examples of current affairs in sociology paper, it gives an impression to the examiner that this person is well read, he has done the hard work and he has understood the concept. That's why he is able to write these things. So this thing help in fetching good marks. Okay, another important thing. That's why I was saying कि you should see the paper at least PYQ. You know what is the pattern of sociology paper? There are two sections, section A, section B. Question 1, 2, 3, 4. Question 5, 6, 7, 8. In both paper 1, paper 2. Question 1 has 5 parts, 10 markers. Question 2 has 3 parts, 20, 20, 10. Similarly, 3, 10 parts, 4, 10 parts, 5, again 5 parts, 6, 7, 8, 3 parts each. We have 2 attempts, 50 marks, 50, each question is 50 marks. So question 1 and 5 is compulsory and you have to choose 3 questions from these 6 questions, such that in section A and section B, you are attempting at least 2 questions. Means you cannot choose question 1, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because in section 1, you will be attempting only 1 question. So you can choose 1, 3 and 7, 8. Like that you can choose. So question selection plays an important role here. Question selection means which questions should I write. So before starting the paper, you will get 5 minutes. In those 5 minutes, you have to do the question selection. In question selection, what things you should keep in mind? In what questions I am having the relevant material, relevant arguments, example for that and data for that to substantiate my argument. Rather than going for an unconventional question, because sometimes we think this question less number of people is going to write, that's why he will award good marks. You should not think that. If you are having sufficient content for a question that everyone is going to write, then also you should attempt that rather than unconventional question which no one will write but you do not have sufficient material for it. Also, one more thing is there, in recent 22 onwards, 1 or 2 random questions will come every year. So for those random questions, you have to do mock answers practice. In every mock test also, you will get 1 or 2 random questions. While writing those questions, you will get certain fodder points which you can use this final exam. Even if you write average answers, then also you will get around 40-45% marks. That is more than sufficient to get more than 50% in overall paper. More than 50% matlab 250 plus out of 500. Another thing is answer writing. If I have to summarize it in one word, how to do answer writing, you have to just start it. There is no shortcut for answer writing. You will write first answer, it will be 1 out of 10. You will write 100th answer, it will be 7 out of 10. So the whole effort is from reaching first answer to your 100th answer. How you do it? If you do it happily, then it will be better for you. If you do it crying, then it's not good for you only. That's what I'm saying. You have to start answer writing. However bad you can be in answer writing, but with each answer you will improve. How you will improve? You have to incorporate inputs from your mentors, whoever is evaluating your copies or whoever is giving you input. You have to incorporate that in your answers. Only thing you have to keep in mind, you have to keep your ego aside. Sometimes we think that I am too good, I cannot write wrong answers or I cannot write irrelevant answers. If you read my copies, which I read initially, in majority of the answers, the comment were answer is irrelevant, demand is not addressed, this content is not suitable for this question. So my point is, you just have to keep writing. In every step you will improve, and that improve will show in your final result. Only thing you have to keep in mind in answer writing, just keep practicing and try to write relevant answers. I heard this thing, there is no good or bad answer. Sometimes we think this is good answer versus this is bad answer. There is no good or bad answer. Answer is an answer. He has asked something, you have written something. Only fight is between answer and notes. Sometimes we write what we know instead of writing what he is asking. So we should keep that in mind. We write what is asked in the question, not what we know or what we have written in your notes. In sociology or in any other optional, this is a thing. People tell you have to write in 10 markers, you have to write 3 or 4 thinkers. In 15 markers, you have to write 6 or 7 thinkers. I do not suggest it at all. In a question, you write relevant thing. In a question, you write argument. To substantiate that argument, you write name of a thinker or a sociological keyword. You do not do the other way around. What people do, a question is asked, they have to make 7 points. What they will do, first I have to write Marxist point of view, second I will write functionist point of view, third I will write interpretist point of view. So for that they will generate arguments. That is not a good approach, and that will be time taking also, because you have to think. Rather than that, you just generate arguments. This question is there, what arguments in support I can give, what arguments in opposite I can give, and for that, if any thinker's theory is supporting, if any keyword you can incorporate in that question, you should do that. Also, there is a trend in recent times, whatever question is there, in support they will give the argument, but they will also give criticism of that question. So that's where the importance of these things, discuss, elaborate, critically analyze. So you have to write answer according to what is asked in the question. If the question is asked discuss or elaborate, you need not write criticism of that particular theory or that particular question. But if it is written critically analyze, that you have to give both the sides of argument. So this thing you have to keep in mind. Just for the sake of giving additional dimension, you are writing criticism when it is not required. It is not a good practice. An examiner will not award you any extra mark. He will just get irritated and reduce the marks. So I think you should keep that in mind. Another important thing is what people do. In paper 1 we have 6 thinkers. In paper 2 we have Srinivas Bete and other Indian thinkers. So in paper 1 they will quote only international thinkers. That is not a good approach. We should take integrated approach. We should quote paper 1 thinkers in paper 2, paper 2 thinkers in paper 1. So that will bring freshness to our answers. That will make examiner an impression that this person has understood the concept and he is applying this to explain this concept. So this integrated approach helps better rather than this siloed approach of using paper 1 in paper 1 only, paper 2 in paper 2 only. Okay, again, rigid structure does not work. I have to start introduction only with definition or only with context or only with data. You have to be flexible. Whatever approach is working for you, you apply that rather than mugging up certain definition and using it in every introduction. I'm not saying that do not remember certain definition. Remember it, it will help. But if the question's demand is current context, if the question's demand is data, use that rather than definition just because you have remembered it. Okay, time management and question selection I have talked about. In GS, for 7 markers, 10 marker we are getting 7 minutes, 15 marker we are getting 11 minutes. In sociology, for 10 markers, 7 minutes only. For 20 markers, it is 14 minutes. So again you have to do the time management properly. What I used to do, I will attempt 20 markers pehle, because 10 markers 130 marks is there, 20 markers 120 markers is there. For 130 marks you have to fill 26 pages. For these marks you have to fill 36 pages. Am I right? No. This is 6 questions, no? 6 questions, 18 pages only. So you'd see the difference, almost similar number of marks, 120 marks and 130 marks. But for 120 you have to fill 18 pages, and for 130 you have to fill 26 pages. Because in sociology for 10 marker we get 2 pages, for 20 marker we get 3 pages. So it is a psychological booster. If you complete 120 marks of paper within half of time, with less space, with better quality, then your chances of getting 300 increases multifold. So you can adopt this trick. ठीक है, वैल्यू एडिशन के लिए you can use current examples, you can use pictorial representation, be it diagram, map. For example, Iravati's kinship system. Iravati curve you have heard. So Iravati curve's kinship system is a repeated theme in the paper. So for that you can use a map, or you can use a flow chart whenever poverty question is there, stratification question is there. Or for example, in Bavarian Trinitarian distribution, you can use this hub and spoke model. ठीक है, CSP. You will read the syllabus and you will get to know what this CSP is. But my point is, value addition is in multiple ways possible. First is current affairs example. Second is this pictorial representation. Third is map. So many things. ठीक है. Another important thing is your conclusion. Your conclusion should be looking forward. Conclusion should be positive, because you are going to be an administrator. And if you are not positive in your outlook, it does not look good. So your conclusion should be positive, be it in GS, essay or sociology paper. ठीक है. How to use PYQ, I think I have discussed sufficiently. You have to identify themes. You have to identify mindset of the examiner, what he wants to say. For example, for brainstorming, you are choosing sociology paper. You see one question, you brainstorm it, and then match it with a model answer. Whether you have covered sufficiently all the dimensions or not, whether you have used sufficient number of examples or not. So in that way you can use. Question selection is another important thing that you have to do. ठीक है. In sociology also, if I have to tell you 3 things that will fetch you good marks if you do it. First, you have to complete the paper. All 250 marks you have to attempt, because if you are leaving 10 marks in each paper, your chances of selection goes down. Rapidly it goes down. You should not leave any question. Second is, answer should be relevant. More than value addition, your focus should be whether I am writing relevant answers or not. Because value addition is secondary thing. If you are not writing relevant answers, he will not reward you good marks. And third is, copy should look neat and clean. If your copy does not look good, however good content you may write, but he is not going to award you marks. ठीक है. I think I have covered sociology. Any question? Any other optionals? Any question? ठीक है. Should I talk about interview also? अभी prelims clear नहीं किया, interview का सुन के क्या करोगे? ठीक है. इंटरव्यू 275 मार्क्स का इंटरव्यूज देयर. सो 1750 मार्क्स मेंस, 275 मार्क्स इंटरव्यू, 2025 टोटल मार्क्स इज देयर. दिस ईयर आउट ऑफ 2025 the cutoff was 947, I think, है ना? So it is around 50%, you can say. So if I tell about interview, in interview there are 2 things. One is your detailed application form that you fill, and one is current affairs. In detailed application form, earlier it used to be like after prelims you will fill def 1, after mains you will fill def 2, but now before prelims itself they are filling these forms. So in def, whatever keywords you have written, be it your place of birth, be it your name, be it your educational background, be it your optional subject, be it your work experience, everything they are asking. So those things you should cover in detail. Additional thing is that in pre or mains you can write anything and get away with it, because no one is going to ask you counter question. But in interview, each and every word is going to be questioned. Why you said this? why this is not like this. So you should be ready for that counter question, and for that you need deeper understanding. Because suppose I am talking to someone and I do not understand why he said something or what he means to say by certain word, then I'll ask counter question. And if I am not clear, then it gives the impression you are not serious in your approach, you just say things like that. That does not look good for an administrator. So you should keep in mind, you do sufficient research on these keywords, and your preparation is so that each and every dimension of these things you have covered. Second thing, current affairs. For prelims and mains, I used to read one newspaper only, Indian Express. But for interview, I read two newspapers, one general newspaper, Indian Express, and one Economic Times. Because in recent times, in interview, if you see transcripts, it is available on Telegram channels. So many transcripts you see, economic questions are asked. Compare India with China, compare Indian economy with US economy, why Indian economy is growing at this rate only. So, understanding of current economic issues becomes very important. For that, you have to invest a lot of time. In addition to reading newspaper, what I used to do, there is a show called Vantage with Palki Sharma. So in that show, Palki Sharma ma'am provides detailed understanding of each and every topic that is going on in current affairs. So it also helps in building a understanding, a deep understanding, so that you can have a conversation, because people sitting in the interview panel are having 40 years of experience, which is not obviously our age itself. So having detailed understanding of a concept is important. That's why I used to do these things. If interview, you do these two things. Additionally, if you carry confidence, I think you are good to go in interview. You give answers with confidence. You maintain integrity and honesty. It should look like you are ready to be an IAS officer, and they will give you good marks. No doubt about that. ठीक है, तो I think interview के लिए this much is sufficient. Any doubt?
So, specifically for the sociology students, so he has told about how, we have discussed it early on also. I've always told you, interest is the foremost thing. Don't think about which topper took which subject, right? Or, all the people, all my friend circle are taking this, I'll also take. First and foremost is, you should be interested in the options. Subject matter is very important, right? We here, or Neelesh also, we can just tell you the direction that, okay, this was the criteria, we used it and it worked for us. I was interested in the subject, right? Secondly, the syllabus, that's true. Sociology has the shortest syllabus, right? When you cover sociology, you will need, if you are taking classroom teaching, 4 months are more than sufficient. And in the classroom teaching, we will have an integrated approach where answer writing will be the part of classroom teaching. So every day, we will ensure that there is discussion of previous year questions, right? Because if you go through PYQ, you will realize in optional paper, every year, same type of question just get repackaged and asked again. So we will try to integrate that. Then the third part, which is very important, current affairs. From average to good score, the difference comes with your current affairs. Because examiner, like Neelesh was also telling, examiner gets a view that this person didn't only understand the concept, but in the day-to-day life or in the current times, he was able to integrate that concept. That is very important, and that is the difference between a person scoring 250 marks and a person scoring 290 or 300 marks, right? So on Friday, tomorrow, there is a free session where I will be specifically discussing about current affairs and sociology. So it will be a kind of an interactive session where I will give you one current affair news. You will be given 2-3 minutes to brainstorm it, how you can connect it, and it is for the beginners also, because anyhow after that 2 minutes where you will brainstorm and try to see for the senior aspirants, I will give the answer. For beginners also can get an idea that this is how we connect what we see in the society and what is already there as a concept in the syllabus. So on Friday we have a free session. Now on Monday the sociology syllabus starts. We will be starting from paper 1 with emergence of sociology. So that session we will be, that will be the first class, because before that, in case you have not attended, orientation session was there, videos on YouTube. Yesterday there was a session on answer writing where I have discussed various frameworks and mnemonics for sociology answer writing, so that in the paper you have certain thinking tool and you can generate point easily for your answer, and especially for paper 2 where students have a habit of writing very GS type answer, how to avoid that and how to develop that sociological bent of mind, right? So these things, in case you are interested or in case you are a previous sociology student, you have done your sociology from somewhere, you're more than welcome to attend tomorrow's class. And anyhow, any other person who has already done the sociology, you need certain guidance how to approach now, then also you can come tomorrow after the class, you can have a one-on-one discussion with me, right? Any doubt? Anything about sociology, anything about GS from Neelesh? Anyone? Yes? Okay, I think we'll take up the online questions.
How to proceed with answer writing practice during 10 months preparation? So first thing is you can do sectional answer writing. For example, you can cover a topic. For example, as ma'am was talking, emergence of sociology is the chapter 1 in paper 1. So you can complete that chapter and you can go with PYQ of this particular chapter. You can show the answers to your mentors and what are the scope of improvement you can get that. Once you complete paper 1, you can write complete full length paper and you can go ahead. Okay. How to write introduction? Please give examples. Can we write thinker's definition? That is better. If you are writing a definition and quoting a thinker, that, for example, which example should I give? For example, there was in 24 there was a question: what is the nature of sociology? Compared it with social anthropology. So if you are starting with introduction, that according to Auguste Comte, who was the founding father of sociology, sociology is scientific and systematic analysis of society. So that is always a good thing to answer, write. Okay, in paper 2 and paper 1, out of 8 questions, which one we give importance? Out of 8 questions, 1 and 5 you have to attend compulsorily. Out of these 6, you have to attend any other 3 questions, so that in each section you attempt at least 2 questions. Which questions to give importance? Those questions you are comfortable in, not those questions that everyone will not write or something other criteria. If you are comfortable in any question, you can go ahead with that. Do we need to do 40 years of PYQ or last 10 years of PYQ? Last 12 or 13 years of PYQ are sufficient, not 40 years, because you do not have that much amount of time. How to proceed with answer writing? Okay. Why tribals not added in Varna system? Then will tell. How to address our answers to the board members in interview, initiation. I did not, Bhargav, I did not get your question. How to address our answer to the board members in the interview? ठीक है, मतलब introduction should be so that it should be exhaustive, it should cover all the details. Any other answer should be humble. You should not sound arrogant. You should sound like you have integrity, and it is good. How was your interview experience? अच्छा ही था, interview experience का खराब होता है. How to proceed with GS answer writing? How to attempt mains mocks before December? Before December, if you are completing syllabus, you should do all the sectional answer writing. You should be completed with before December. Between pre and mains, you should do full length answer writing. I did lot of full length answer writing between pre and mains. Around 35 to 40 papers I wrote, and I think that's the reason I got this good mark. How to go through monthly magazine? Is it necessary to skim all the content given in magazine? How to differentiate whether related to prelims or main? It is not necessary to go through monthly compilation. If you are able to read daily newspaper, it is much better. If you are not able to read, then you can go to monthly magazine. There also, coachings try to give only the content which is necessary. But even if it is not given, then you can read it selectively based on PYQs and syllabus. How to brainstorm in sociology paper 1? How to brainstorm? Pick up question, pick up copy and do brainstorming. How to brainstorming क्या होता है? मतलब ठीक है, pick up PYQs, then try to brainstorm what all points I will write and take model answers along with it and compare it. whether I have covered all the points, whether I have covered all the dimensions or not. When should one-pager notes be prepared, between prelims and mains or before prelims? One-pager notes was only for mains, because for prelims, whatever my fundamental notes were there, in that I will highlight what data facts were there, whatever committee reports were there. For mains, I will make that micro one-pager notes. Essential sociology book, is that enough? Essential sociology book is kind of notes. So those notes will be helpful only when you have the conceptual clarity. In optional paper, be it sociology or any other paper, the examiner is looking for candidates who have conceptual clarity. Conceptual clarity will come from either, if you are following any coaching, then teachers, class notes, you read it thoroughly, or you read those basic books like Harlambos or IGNOU material or anything. That will build your understanding. And books like Essential Sociology are notes. They are not for making the basic understanding. You should understand that. Interest is always better compared to syllabus. If you are interested in mathematics, however long its syllabus can be, it is always better to opt for mathematics compared to sociology. But if you are interested in sociology and you are comparing it with maths, then in sociology you have the advantage of having less syllabus and more interesting subject. Sociology answer copies of yours, Telegram channel है उस पे upload किया हुआ है. Strategy for Sociology for Mains 2025. This session was all about strategy only, I think. Can you please say better mock test website, sir? I don't know. How to memorize sociology concepts, sir? Revision करके. Feeling tough to understand economic concepts on being come from technical background. Having few tips. नहीं ये FOMO है कि हम technical background से आ रहे हैं तो economic concepts को कैसे understand करेंगे for any subject. UPSC is very level playing field. You can be from any background. You can be from any language, you can be Hindi background or Telugu background or English background. It does not matter. If you work hard in right direction for 12 months, you can clear it. By revision and by understanding concepts, you can do it. Which mentor do you suggest for GS answer writing evaluation in market, and which institute mocks do you suggest for mains? I do not suggest any mocks. देख लो जो अच्छा लगता है उसमें मैं क्या suggest करूँगा. Harlambos original or blue one. Harlambos I did blue one, that thick book I did, but you do not have to read it cover to cover. You have to give the selective reading only.
What's your Telegram channel?
I will write it. Okay.
If any one of you have questions, please just raise your hand. We'll give you a mic and you can ask the question. I hope most of the questions were answered, but please don't be afraid to ask. If you want to learn from others' mistakes or others' experiences, this is one chance you have. Don't think I'll ask anonymously on a Telegram channel. Why should everyone hear me now? Don't feel bad. Please ask your question. Even if there are Telugu speakers, I'll translate it for you. I want you to speak. Okay? Please ask your questions. Anybody? I think online, most questions are coming from online students. Any questions? No? Okay. So, thank you so much, Neelesh, for coming all the way and doing this session for us. So, I think the biggest takeaway is, if I should put it in few points, is that you should study smart, not just hard. Okay? Learn from others' experiences. Make sure that you're consistent in your preparation. Have a good plan, write tests. If I don't know if Neelesh mentioned it, I stepped out for a little while, but he has been writing mock tests for prelims. Usually, many students write from January itself. In Hyderabad, for some reason, our students don't see the need to write full-length tests. Okay, you need to write full-length tests for prelims right from January if you're giving exam in May. Don't assume that I'll just do sectional tests and you think you will do well in the final exam. Sorry, you cannot. Okay, and then for mains also, I don't know if he mentioned, but he gave 10 simulation tests. 10 main simulation tests. What is a simulation test? For those of you who are beginners, essay on a Friday, like actual exam happens. On a Saturday morning, you write GS1, GS2, GS3, and GS4 the next day. That's how he gave the tests, 10 of them before mains. So just imagine how much preparation there was, because by the time you finish your GS4 paper, your hand will start aching. I asked him if he was physically exhausted. He said, no ma'am, I was not. If you are running the mains marathon, mains is a marathon. It's a very different from running a sprint. Okay, I told this to students, those of you who are from outside or who are listening for the first time. Sprint is your speed. That's it. But for a marathon, it's your endurance that is tested. So, if you want to endure until the last paper is done and do well, it is very, very important that you give tests, that do simulation tests. Okay? So, I hope you all got the best of this session. And if any concerns are there, questions are there also, specifically we will put out a Google form where you can put out questions for optional specifically. Shilpa ma'am will address them, and if Mr. Neelesh is available, he'll also let you know if there are any questions more. Okay? So thank you so much and all the best for your preparation. Thank you, Neelesh.
Thank you, ma'am.